Hello, and welcome to our journey of 1,000 pages. I'm Christina, and here's our other host, Anty.
Hello, I'm Anty, and this month we have promenaded across the panels of Nimona by ND Stevenson. It is the story of a young girl with magical shape-shifting powers who becomes the sidekick of the notorious villain Lord Blackheart. And we follow them as they fight against the evil institution, or at least from our perspective, evil.
Great summary. Good
Thank
job.
you. So this is a comic book. Well, was a web comic.
Is now considered a graphic novel.
So yeah, it started out as a webcomic, ran from 2012 to 2014, I believe, and then was published into a book. Now has a feature-length film on Netflix, I believe. I haven't seen it, but, it's there.
Someday.
You say this is a graphic novel.
I say it's a graphic novel because I also did not know it was a webcomic previously. I have only seen it in the context of the library where it is a graphic novel shelved in the graphic novel section.
Sure.
But there is so much debate on what's a graphic novel versus a comic book versus whatever.
Because I hate the term graphic novel. We were discussing this before the podcast, and I went on a little tirade of the term graphic novel annoys me because it is used to elevate, the intellectualness of a comic book. Typically how it's used, it sounds better to say I read graphic novels than I read comics. But in turn, I think it puts down comics as a whole.
Yes.
Because it says if you don't go by the term graphic novel, you are lesser than me. You're not as good for reading me.
That is fair. I think... Well, here, I'm going to read the definition that we found online, which is one of the things that sparked the rant, which Google says that it is important to note while the term graphic novel gained popularity to distinguish more serious book-length comics from the traditional serialized comic book, the lines between the two can blur. Collections of previously published comic book issues are often released in graphic novel format. They give the example of Watchmen, which you did bring up, that it was initially a comic book series, and now if you buy Watchmen, it's one bound volume. That's a
massive volume.
That's a graphic novel.
It's different.
And they do point out that part of this is historical because once upon a time, comic books were much flimsier, literally sometimes nicknamed floppies, and they had a bunch of ads mixed in there, and the stories were superheroes primarily, very light themes, and that, of course, has changed dramatically over time. Superheroes are no longer just fun, bright, happy things.
No, they're depressing. All of our heroes have to be depressed. Okay, I don't agree with that. I think it's come back from that. I think we did see a time where all the superheroes were dark and brooding.
Yeah.
But now they're all just quippy.
I think that it reflects the times.
Sure.
I say that as someone who has never read comic books and knows very little.
Yeah, how many comic books have you actually read?
I can answer that 1 second while I look at my my Goodreads. I have a shelf titled graphic novel.
Because I've grown up on comic books. Grew up on the old Spider-Man, the X-Men, and I'm talking about original comics. The library had huge collections of the original ones, and it was great. But I think growing up with comic books and I have another rant about the Marvel movies with this because it's very funny to me. But seeing comics themselves change and go from that exact thing where it's the comic books, and I mean comic books, the serialized comic books are just serialized stories. I need to stop with these S's. They're designed to get you to buy the next one, and they still are. Don't get me wrong. They're very much, you have to wait for the full run to come out and buy the massive collection or whatever it is. But I think despite that, there are still very good and very poignant moments in these stories that people kind of dismiss just because it's in a quote-unquote comic book.
That's absolutely fair. I have tried several times to read comic books, which is kind of hard to get into, not gonna lie. But I've read individual, Wonder Woman, Superman, Hawkeye, I read Old Man Logan when Logan came out. Not gonna lie, they never really caught my attention. But for the record, I have read 50 graphic novels.
I'm so proud of you.
ranging from stuff like Mouse, Watchmen, V for Vendetta, to stuff that is definitely... Look, I read basically historical fiction and nonfiction.
It's her secret stash of comics. Those are her Japanese comics she won't let anybody see.
No.
She keeps them in a box under the bed.
Uh-huh. Don't you spread lies about me. No, it's like historical fiction as a graphic novel. Like, I read a graphic novel.
Disgusting.
Like the Harlem Hellfighters. I read one about them.
Didn't you just have
the
one?
Night Witches of World War II.
Did you not just have one in the house that was like about suffrage and the suffragettes?
Yes, it is. I'm halfway through it. It's
Nice.
out there. It's called Suffrage Song: The Haunted History of Gender, Race, and Voting Rights in the U.S.
You are so weird.
I also just read one recently about the Puerto Rican War. Thrilling stuff, guys.
I don't understand. There's no magic. There's no dragons. How is it cool?
I don't know. I read another one recently about the Canadian government screwing over Indigenous people. So...
Oh, weirdo. Okay, we are way off topic.
We are way off topic, but the point is, there's a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Comic books, graphic novels, web comics are all valid.
I agree. You should read all of them. I'm not saying all of them are quality, but again, the whole point of the podcast, read outside your comfort zone. Or find the good in all of it.
And you can find something for you, whether that is a nonfiction graphic novel or something with superheroes and magic.
Doesn't always have to be superheroes.
Just magic? You need dragons.
I need something that makes it not real and makes it cool.
Dragons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me dragons.
All right. So that's what...
Have I read a comic that has no superheroes? Bone doesn't.
Okay.
Sorry, off topic.
Highly recommended by you, Bone.
Yes, fantastic. So, like we said, started out as a webcomic, and it is very clear. You can see that very early on in the book. All of the panels, they're very much squares. Mm-hmm. It's just like 6 squares to a page.
Yes.
Which isn't a bad thing. That is, the reason for that is it's because most webcomics are viewed on your phone. They're designed to be easily read while scrolling. But it is really cool seeing their art style change from the beginning of this run to the end of it, where you can see them develop as an artist and improve. And that is something I've always loved about comics.
I also noticed their style develop as we were reading the book. Mm-hmm. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know this was a webcomic going in. So once you pointed it out, then it became clear to me that like, oh yeah, it did start as just box. And then later on, they got a lot more creative.
You can very much see both in the way they drew the characters and like learning developing their shading and things like that, and just the generalized lighting of the panels. But the formatting of the panels themselves, it ceased to be that like box, and there'd be like splash pages and panels within panels to tell the story, which is a really interesting way that comic books tell the stories. The panels are made intentionally. They're designed to draw the eye in a specific way.
Which was really cool watching that happen. Because again, I haven't read that many comic books or graphic novels, so it was really interesting to watch exactly what you said, where I noticed my eye being drawn in specific directions and realizing that's not a mistake. Like, it's designed to do that. You're supposed to go from this corner to this corner. And that's just really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, that's another point to I hate when we dismiss comics as an art form. Not necessarily dismiss, but the intellectualization of a lot of this stuff. Like, you can only read a graphic novel because it makes you seem like more of an academic.
Me reading nonfiction graphic novels is
fine,
really not...
it's fine. That's not what I'm saying. I feel like I have had conversations with people who like comics, but all they read is graphic novels, which I guess I don't want to disparage that either, because if that's all you read, great, like, read what you like. Just don't look down on comic books, because I like them, and it makes me sad.
So that we don't hurt Anty's feelings.
Yes, me specifically.
Just him, no one else. Yes. Everyone else in the world.
Unless it's a comic book that I don't like, and then you can shit on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad that we've clarified this.
Can't think of one, but I'm sure there are.
No, because you love this art format.
I do. It's cool.
And I think that's an important thing because, let's be real, again, this is not my bread and butter. So I think it's easy to look at comic books, graphic novels, whatever, look at that and go, oh, like they drew people really well, but, you know, it's essentially just box. But to then start looking at it more structurally, the way that you pointed out to me, that there's more to it than that. Because I think it's also really easy. There's certain artists who, when I flip through, I go, okay, you're basically drawing stick figures. Like this art isn't that advanced. And it doesn't necessarily need to be. I think it's easy to dismiss that.
Right.
Based on art style. I mean, I will be real. The style in Nimona didn't particularly appeal to me.
That is understandable. It's a very cartoony style.
And that's something that I think is really hard whenever I look at comic books or graphic novels, is if the art style is off-putting to me, I will just put the book back down and I will not continue.
But I get that same point from people when I like try to recommend animes. And I do understand, like, if it is putting you off, I've had comic books that I put down because I hated the art style. I don't know, there's not really a but to it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not gonna...
Cough, V for Vendetta.
It's fine.
I persevered because I loved the movie. I love the movie so much. But
I like the comic book, but I like comic books.
I liked the comic book. I didn't like the art style.
If all you watch is the V for Vendetta movie, that's fine.
Yes,
I don't think you gain more from reading the book.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
There's just definitely comic books and graphic novels that have been recommended to me, and I go and I'm excited and I love the concept and I've read the summary online, and then I pick up the book in person and I flip through a couple pages and I go, I hate this art.
Yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't matter that the story is appealing.
Right. I don't know how to fix that.
No.
I think if you should give it a shot. Like, I think if you have not, if the art style being something you don't like is something that has stopped you from reading graphic novels entirely, you should find one that the art style is fine with you and try to persevere and read it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially some of the ones that are, like, accoladed.
Yes.
Because there are reasons for it. There are very wonderful and nuanced stories in these comic books, even the ones with just Superman. There
are some very well-acclaimed runs of quote-unquote comic books that's just about a superhero.
Right. I mean, like, The Killing Joke in Batman is, like, a legendary story.
I know there's others. I've heard people who are into comic books have told me some of the best runs of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, whoever.
I can't remember the names of them. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So, we do want to talk about the ending. I wanted to talk about the ending of this book.
So,
before we get into spoiler territory, we can kind of summarize if we want.
Yeah, we can kind of summarize the story a little bit.
And then we will let you know when we get to, like, spoilers. So like I said earlier, it's the story of this young girl, Nimona, who becomes the sidekick to this Lord Blackheart, who is a supervillain in this kind of sci-fi medieval city.
I'm not going to lie. Within the first 10 pages, I know I texted you and was like, when is this story supposed to be set?
It's science fantasy, and I am here for it.
And you just said yes, and I was like, that is an infuriating answer, and I know I need to just let go.
The fusion of magic and technology, it's beautiful.
In an unknown time period.
Yes.
That's vaguely medieval.
Correct.
But also they have advanced scientific techniques.
Yeah.
This
makes perfect sense.
It's breaking my brain.
Sure. So, it's basically the story of these two. They are fighting against what is called the Institution. Lord Blackheart has a vendetta against the Institution for reasons that are explained in a flashback. I'm not going to go into it because read the book. It is basically, the story is him fighting against Nimona's urge for just chaos and destruction. We get a few glimpses into Nimona's past and how she was brought up, why she's a shapeshifter, that kind of things. But it's kind of mostly kept ambiguous or, like, brushed off and moved on. And then at there's a huge falling out between them near the end of the book. We're getting into spoilers here.
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead. And it does have an ambiguous ending because essentially there's a fight between Blackheart, Nimona, and Golden Lion, I think his name is, who is the antithesis to Lord Blackheart.
Yes.
Where Blackheart is the villain, Golden Lion is the hero of the institution. The golden armor, Blackheart's in black armor. Very on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it lends itself to the story. Blackheart and Golden Lion were friends in school, coming up into the institution. They had a falling out. They're now fighting each other. End of the book. All three of them are fighting each other. Nimona's losing control.
Mm-hmm.
Her shape-shifting powers are kind of growing beyond what she can keep in check. And there is a point where Blackheart essentially has to choose between Golden Lion and Nimona. And he chooses Golden Lion. At which point they cut to the next day, whatever it is. Nimona's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Lion and Blackheart are in the hospital. And while Nimona died, there's a point where Nimona comes in disguise and talks to Blackheart a little bit. Where she refers to Nimona as a monster, and he defends Nimona, saying, no, she's not a monster. But they don't come back together. Like, they don't just say, it's all good, we're friends again.
Yeah.
With that, there's that ambiguous, will they ever meet again kind of ending.
Mm-hmm.
Which I personally think is great.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great end to the story. It was both of them reacting to their past, and while they're both broken people, and have hurt each other through this relationship that they've had throughout the story,
mm-hmm.
both, and had good times throughout all of this. It's okay to move past each other.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I felt like it was saying.
Yeah, like to realize there was good and bad in their relationship, but it was just for a time.
Yes.
And they have now kind of like a wish you well, but we're now going our separate ways.
Yeah. I think it's interesting I really like Nimona's character throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a very sad character, which gets translated into anger, as it does with a lot of teenagers.
They did a very good job of depicting that teenage angst and, like you said, translating sadness into anger and lashing out and covering with humor a lot.
Yes, lots of covering with humor. Which did, I think, show a very hard past for her, especially when she tells us a story, well, it tells Blackheart a story, and thus the audience, of what her past is pretty early on in the book, but it is revealed later in the book that she was lying there. And I don't think we ever get an actual origin story. We are never told for sure this is what happened to Nimona.
You're kind of left wondering, okay, were pieces of that true? What actually happened? I appreciated that ambiguity.
Personally, I felt like she was a character I could have related to as a teenager. For that, like, being very sad and very angry because of it. Yeah, there's also some I'm pretty sure it's alluded to that Blackheart and Golden Lion are gay. Very cute. Love lovers to enemies to lovers story. Here for it.
Yes, that was also a little ambiguous, but it was done very well. I did I think it's in the last few panels where Blackheart is back in town and is just kind of looking around, wondering if Nimona will ever make an appearance again, and if so, would he even know it?
Right.
And he's kind of looking at like, oh, there's a cat that's red the same way that her hair, like some of the animals she transformed into previously were red or pink or whatever. And he's like, oh, there's a cat, or like, oh, there's a person with red hair, or oh, there's that. And he's like, would I even know? But also being okay with that and letting it go. He has the technology. He could probably, mount this huge thing to go search and find her and whatever. But he's just leaving it be. And if she chooses to come back, cool. And if not, cool.
And I think especially the lines where he is like, would I even recognize her? I think that is a fair assessment of when you have somebody in your life who, especially when you were younger, and like, I'm sure we all have had friends that we had when we were like in middle school or high school, stop talking to them, and then we're like, would they even know who I was at this point?
Yeah.
Would I know who they were at this point? Because people can change very drastically in that time.
It's true. If it's been 10 plus years, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, would you even recognize them on the street?
Did you want to talk about the speech Blackheart gave?
There is a speech in here, and this goes back to me not having read a lot of comic book. I think, especially this one, because let's be real, this was more your pick than mine.
For sure.
I had agreed to a graphic novel, but then you were the one who said, oh, we should read Nimona. I have seen this at the library. It's shelved in young adult, and the very cartoony style and everything, I probably never would have picked this up on my own because I would have dismissed it based on the art style and where it was shelved. But there's a speech that Blackheart gives about halfway through the book where he's gets on a mic at like a public event and he's trying to incite the general populace to realize that the Institute doesn't have their best interests in mind. And just to read a little bit of that, he says, my name is Ballister Blackheart, but I'm sure you know that already. You may think of me as your enemy, but I've only ever fought against the institution, not against you. Your true enemies are the ones who have beaten you down and kept you in compliance through fear. They took your children and raised them as soldiers. They mongered war at the expense of their people. They locked us into a system where they hold all of the power, and in return they promised you safety, but they've broken that promise. In their quest for war, they've endangered the very people they swore to protect. They took away your power, and it's time to take it back. I just thought that was an incredibly relevant speech to the real world, honestly, and I think that's the moment that it clicked in my head that just because, the art style is a little cartoony or this is a book that is marketed towards younger teens does not mean that it doesn't have any value for me as an adult. It's like I knew that in relation to children's literature, but for some reason, people look down on comic books and graphic novels a little bit. So that was a good moment.
I think a lot of that is to say again, I know I've brought it up in previous episodes, the whole a lot of my motivation for this is trying to get myself back into reading because I grew up loving reading, would tear through books and then just fell out of it because of life.
Yeah.
And because there's distractions everywhere. If reading a 300-page comic book is what gets you to start reading again, because you have to build back up to it.
It's true.
In a world where our brains have been, at least my brain, has been absolutely destroyed by TikTok, it's hard to pay attention to something for longer than 10 seconds. So yeah, if this is what gets you started on that path, do it. Don't feel bad about reading it.
Yes, if you need the pictures and something that you can get through quickly, check out Nimona.
Yeah.
What are our final ratings for this book?
I give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think the characters are charming. I think the world is fun. You don't have to think about the world a lot. The rules don't really matter.
That's so hard for me.
I know.
I am on the fence between 3 and 4 stars, so I'm just going to settle on 3.5. So
No, absolutely not. You got to pick one. We are not doing half points. This is a 5-point scale, not a 10-point scale. Don't let my rating influence you. This is your personal rating.
Okay, when I'm rating, I consider what I think the quality of the book, but then I also include my enjoyment of said thing. So I'm going to leave it at 3.
Sure. I think your enjoyment of a thing should influence, it's fine.
Yes, I can recognize
this podcast is our opinions.
Okay, cool. My opinion is that this is 3 stars for me.
I disagree, and you're a horrible person for saying that. Why 3? Yeah, is it because of the art style that threw you off? I don't know. I shouldn't pester you. I'm sorry.
You're explain now.
No,
why did you give it 3 and not 4? I think I probably would give it 4 if it was just based on the book itself. But taking into consideration the level of enjoyment, I'd knock it down. I was going to knock it down a half a point, and then you said I had to knock it down a whole point.
That's fine.
It is now 3.
Have an opinion. It's okay. I enjoy it. This also fits into it's my shtick. I'm aware of this.
Yes.
The science fantasy, the comic book, it's my thing.
Yeah.
About somebody rebelling against an oppressive government. Yeah, I'm gonna love this. I recognize it.
You were very excited going into this month's read.
I was. I like revolutions.
Yes.
They're fun. What are you recommending this month?
So this month, I am recommending a graphic novel, believe it or not.
What?
I feel like I need to redeem myself and be like, hey, I don't hate graphic novels, guys. Like I said, I have read probably a good 50 of them. And the one I want to recommend has been a few years since I've read it, but It's also one of the only graphic novels that I went out and bought brand new the minute I finished it because I thought it was so powerful. It's called The Ballad for Sophie. It's by, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounce these names because they're Portuguese, Filippo Melo and Juan Cavia. It's historical fiction. It opens in the 1990s with this young girl who is a journalist, and she's trying to get an interview with this reclusive pop star who's now ancient and lives in his mansion all alone and basically never talks to anybody. And she gets in, get him to start talking about his past, and then from there it kind of flips back and forth between him narrating starting in the 1930s in France and him being a young boy and his journey becoming, pianist, and through, the Nazis coming into France and him getting involved in Hollywood and all the typical things that derail rock and roll careers, and just everything that happened in his life and his ongoing competition that was mainly in his own head between him and another boy in the town that was also... There's like a piano competition when they were young, and he won only because his mother bribed like all the judges. And it's him, his whole life spent going, am I really that good? If technically that first moment, and that's not a spoiler because it happens so early in the book, but it's him and how that's influenced his life and all of the choices and him looking back. And it's really good. It's an emotional roller coaster. Lots of ups and downs as you're following, tragic love, and this person died, and was this thing I did worth the fame and fortune? And I love the art. It's very colorful. Let's just leave it there. I really like it. I really recommend it. And when you're finished, there is a song. Actually, I think there's sheet music in the very back of the book, but you can also Google the song that is The Ballad for Sophie. You can listen to it on YouTube.
That's rad as hell.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So there you go. The Ballad for Sophie by Filippo Melo and Juan Cavia.
I also recommend this book now.
You haven't read this book yet.
I don't care. I recommend it. They gave you a song. Hell yeah.
Okay.
10 out of 10. Perfect book. So I am bringing to the table this month, kind of along the lines of with our previous conversation about looking at comic books and like noticing... Well, once it was pointed out, noticing how the panels are designed to draw your eye. Along those veins, there's a YouTube channel I watch called Corridor Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the two specific series I want to recommend that they do are the VFX Artist React and Stuntmen React.
Okay.
I very much enjoy these. Christina's heard me rant about fight scenes and stunts and visual effects in movies and TV shows a lot. But if you want to get a glimpse into how much thought and... intentionality is put into those, both stunts and visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn a lot from those guys. There are actually quite a few people who have been like, yeah, I got into filmmaking and VFX because of them.
Oh, wow.
They're really cool, very informative. They break down both good and bad scenes. And there are a few movies that I've gained an appreciation of because of... While largely it's a bad movie, they have some really cool visual effects or a really cool fight scene or way they did a stunt or something like that. But yeah, if you want to see a new way to look at movies and try to analyze them and enjoy them, there we go. Corridor Crew on YouTube. Okay.
I'm going to have to look this up because I know choreography and stunt stuff is not necessarily the thing I focus on in films, but it does really enhance the experience for me when you pause the movie and say... Let me explain, like, what just happened.
This is why we're married. You have no idea how lucky I am to find a woman who says, oh, it's exciting when you pause a movie to talk about it for a long time.
Okay, like I don't do the same thing to you.
That's fair.
It's just we focus on different things.
Yes.
I pause it and I go, hey, so this is fascinating because this is what was going on historically in Hollywood at the time. And that line there was a reference to that thing that was happening. Yes.
We can stretch an 1.5-hour movie into 3 hours every time.
Easy.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, please join us next month. We're going to talk about mysteries.
Ooh. Oh, wait, there's not a special reason it's mystery. It's August. I was thinking, listen.
You were thinking it was October?
Yeah, because we're doing horror, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to do horror in October. So save your ghost woos.
Ooh, aw.
So in August, we will be diving into mysteries. We've picked out a book by Tana French called In the Woods. It's her first novel. I know she has written several others at this point. I've read one of them and really enjoyed it. So we're going to read In the Woods, which is, again, a book that's jumping back and forth in time. Starts out in the 1980s. 3 kids disappear in the woods. One comes back with blood-filled sneakers and terrorized. And then we flash forward to today, and that kid with blood-filled shoes is a detective. And then there's a kid that gets murdered in a forest, and he's simultaneously solving that crime and also remembering stuff that happened to him and kind of unlocking memories and trying to solve basically 2 different mysteries at the same time. I'm excited.
This was a video game.
What?
That story is a video game.
I am not surprised by this.
Okay, bye.
Join us in August.